Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about an anime called Seiya, The Lost Canvas. Tenma, a 15-year-old boy, and his best buddy Alone were raised in a cheerful orphanage in a small town. But Tenma decides to go looking for his best friend after having a strange feeling that he is in danger. After finding Alone unconscious on the mountain path, he returns him to the orphanage to cure his injuries. The river overflows into the town that same night as a result of some boulders impeding the river's course due to a strong storm. The two buddies are in a difficult situation where they both want to prevent the orphanage from flooding, but Alone is concerned that they won't be able to complete the task. Tenma, however, is unfazed and rushes to smash the big rocks that are impeding the river's flow. He uses his blows to try to break it, but they just leave little cracks. Tenma hears everyone in the orphanage praying as he focuses the force of Cosmos in his fist for one last time and smashes it to pieces with a powerful punch to the rocks. Before Tenma passes out, a golden saint who recognized his Cosmos strength lifts him up. The next day, Doko, a golden saint, tells Tenma that he witnessed how he saved the community and encourages him to enter the sanctuary and become a saint. Tenma accepts the offer and bids Alone goodnight, vowing that they would always be closest friends. Tenma had always fantasized about this moment, the one in which he could become a saint and defend everyone. When Tenma arrives at the Greek sanctuary, she learns that Hades, the deity of the underworld, and Athena engage in a sacred battle every 200 years. Athena created 88 saints, each of whom was guarded by one of the 88 constellations, to guard the world's peace. Just a select fraction of those who train in this sanctuary have the strength and heart to be chosen to become saints. After learning that he will soon become the next saint, Tenma is swiftly challenged by another trainee. He agrees to the challenge, but after losing, he instantly regrets it. As he encounters the golden saint Doko, he learns how to use his cosmic talents to strengthen himself. Tenma sees someone walking by after Doko leaves and believes it to be Alone. Sasha, one of his boyhood buddies, is the person he reaches out to grab as soon as he can. When he tries to tell her how she was his and Alone's best friend, but an assassin lurking underground attacks them. Tenma attempts to protect her, but the assassin quickly pins him to the ground and begins beating him. The assassin turns his focus to Sasha right away after she uses her Cosmo power to reveal that she is the goddess Athena. The assassin tries to attack her, but the Aries saint arrives just in time to save her and stop him. She then leads her home. Tenma receives his final test to become a saint after 2 years of training. He doesn't back down when confronted by a man twice his size. He quickly punches the man against a pillar before destroying a boulder that was about to fall on top of his opponent as a sign of mercy. After observing his fortitude and generosity, the Pope decides to bestow upon him the Pegasus Saint status and armor. Later that evening, Tenma sneaks onto Athena's balcony where they converse about their early years. However, Athena jerkily raises her gaze to the sky and declares that Hades has awakened, signaling the start of the Holy War. Tenma and a few other saints are then dispatched on a mission to look into the location of Hades. He soon understands, however, that they were sent to his hometown as they proceed. Tenma starts to run back to his hometown, but all he finds there is fire and devastation. As soon as he begins to worry about Alone's security, he dashes back to the orphanage. When he walks into Alone's room, he only sees blood all over the place. He leaves the building and begins searching for Hades, assuring his allies that he will vanquish the evil god. While being struck by lightning, he hears his friend's screams and looks up to see Hades floating in the air. Hades begins to approach him as he extends a warm welcome to him. Tenma is in disbelief. He finds it hard to accept that Alone is the true Hades. Alone had always been a good man, but on the day Tenma discovered him unconscious on the mountain path, Pandora came up to him, transforming a good, obedient child into the evil god of the underworld. The painting by Tenma that Alone was unable to complete before Tenma left the town to become a saint is then displayed by Hades. He quickly draws an X on the painting with blood, and Tenma is instantly killed by the painting's effects. After killing Tenma and destroying Alone's hometown, Hades completed his first task by removing his human nature. All of his specters are forced to kneel before him before they leave, because with this one action, he loses everything that connects him to his humanity, and his blonde hair changes to a dark, evil color. Since Yato is the only saint to survive, he chooses to deliver Tenma's body to Athena. A girl named Yuzuriha appears out of nowhere, claiming that she has been ordered by her master to remove Tenma and revive him. She quickly teleports everyone to her master's location, and he checks Tenma's body condition. The only thing keeping him alive is Athena's flower bracelet. But if the flowers fade, he will pass away in time. Tenma finds himself chained up inside a prison when he awakens in the underworld. A specter appears out of nowhere and begins to make fun of him while claiming that one of the leaders of the underworld is marching against the sanctuary to kill Athena. As they attempt to save Tenma, Yato and Yuzuriha, who had teleported to the underworld, suddenly appear. The specter defeats them with shockwave attacks and gets ready to deliver his finishing blow. Tenma unexpectedly unleashes his full power, breaking the chains that were holding him. He strikes out quickly, and with just one punch, he vanquishes the specter thanks to his Pegasus Saint ability. After Yato quickly explains how to revive Tenma, Tenma expresses a desire to return immediately to defend Athena. However, Yuzuriha explains that before returning to the real world, they must first find something. She goes on to say that they must obtain the fruits of the fabled sapodus tree, which grows in the underworld. They begin to move towards the tree, but Cerberus, the watchdog of hell, quickly stops them. Yato and Yuzuriha attempt to confront the gatekeeper, but they are unable to compete with the legendary beast. The group decides to divert attention from Tenma's preparation to use his saintly skill, Pegasus Meteor Fist, which will kill the mythical beast in a single blow, and then they decide to lead the Cerberus against him. Once more on the move, they encounter Hades along the way. Yuzuriha tries to attack but is easily dispelled by a hand flick. Then, Hades congratulates Tenma on surviving his earlier assault in the real world and extends an invitation to him to side with him rather than Athena. In a flash, he declines, vowing to defeat him and stick by Athena's side. Tenma's response prompts Hades to float his Cerberus and disappear after hearing it. The group continues their search and eventually finds the tree perched atop a bloodfall. They quickly begin to ascend the bloodfall when time abruptly comes to a stop. The only one who can move is Tenma, who discovers that Golden Saint Virgo Asmita has betrayed Athena by siding with Hades. Virgo admits that he has his doubts about Athena's ability to maintain world peace. He begins making fun of Tenma, portraying him as an immature child who is unfit to stand by Athena. Tenma attempts to hit him with a skilled punch, but Virgo's strength causes him to stumble. The fates of Pegasus Saint and Athena are then connected, according to Virgo. Because the Pegasus Saint is the only human who is capable of defeating Hades, they always reincarnate in the human world together. Tenma's emotional nature, however, will not be able to save the world this time. Then Virgo rises from his meditative position and uses a skill to render Tenma's 5 senses inoperative. He says he can only rely on his 6th sense, the mind and thoughts, as he begins to manifest visions of people suffering and killing Athena. Tenma becomes furious, unleashes all of his power, escapes the illusion, and rushes to punch Virgo. He delivers his blow, only to realize that he only knocked out the sapodus tree. Virgo appears above and reveals that everything was an illusion. They needed Tenma to use his Cosmo power to make the tree bear fruit. Virgo quickly vanishes after instructing him to take the fruit and complete their mission. The group takes the fruits and transports Tenma to the underworld, but they are stopped by another specter. While Yato fights the specter, Yuzuriha returns to the real world with Tenma's soul. Virgo reappears and explains that he needs to make a holy weapon out of the sapindus tree's fruits. The weapon will seal the specter's soul and prevent them from resurrecting, thereby restraining Hades' army. However, they will need Virgo's 8 senses power to forge it. The specter's army pursued them to the real world and launched an attack, forcing Tenma and the others to wait for Virgo to forge the holy weapon. Tenma suddenly feels a huge Cosmo power on top of the building and sees Virgo crafting the holy beads. He tries to climb the building to protect Virgo from the specters, but the specters are quickly killed. When Tenma reaches the summit, he realizes Virgo used all of his Cosmos power and sacrificed his life to create the weapon that can change the course of the war. Meanwhile, Hades has begun his assault on the sanctuary, killing several saints in the process. Tenma appears in a bright flash of light as Athena prepares to confront him. He first asks Hades if he remembers their childhood promise to remain together, but Hades quickly responds that he doesn't care about such childish promises because he is not alone. He is the god of the underworld. Suddenly, a puppy that Alone saved 2 years ago appears, and Hades quickly transforms it into Cerberus. Tenma quickly dodges the mythic beast, taking Athena with him. He then rushes to punch Cerberus with the beads mixed with his Cosmo power, knocking it out with a single blow. Hades then quickly restrains him with his power and attempts to pierce Tenma with his sword. However, the Pope appears to be holding Athena's talismans from the previous war 200 years ago, which sealed Hades' powers. Athena then teleports everyone to a location that can seal every specter soul. They intend to seal Hades' soul in the underworld, preventing him from returning to the real world and losing the war. Pandora appears on a cart and begins to slander Athena, claiming that she chose to be reborn as Hades' younger sister and oversee his incarnation. Tenma saves her by jumping in front of her as she tries to hit Athena. Hades then reveals his plans to return to his castle, as well as the fact that he is about to finish the lost canvas, a painting of the planet's sky with everyone's soul on it. Once finished, everyone will perish, and he will win the war. Tenma tries to stop Hades, but Pandora electrocutes him with her staff, causing him to fall from the cart. Tenma spends the next few days helping to rebuild the sanctuary while training against Aldebaran, the strongest saint. The saint compliments Tenma's punches, but suddenly, some bats surround them and begin to make ultrasonic sounds. After losing consciousness, Tenma and everyone else collapse. An assassin appears and attempts to kill Tenma, but Aldebaran, who ruptured his eardrums fighting the bats, stops him. They start fighting, but Aldebaran can barely keep his balance and mobility. He dispatches the assassin, but another assassin appears, turning the fight into a 2-on-1. This is exploited by the two assassins, who brutally beat Aldebaran. He manages to capture one of them while they are pummeling him, and with a single strike, he kills the assassin by slamming him to the ground with his strength. The other assassin, impressed, employs his most lethal technique, Messenger of Death. The technique enables the assassin to eliminate his target despite his inability to hear the song. Aldebaran's heart stops once he is deployed. The assassin then proceeds to eliminate Tenma. Despite the fact that his heart had stopped beating, Aldebaran's body moved on its own, and with one final move, he completely eliminates the assassin. He then comes to a complete stop while still standing like the valiant warrior he was in saving Tenma's life. Tenma awakens to find another man standing near the dead saint. The man reveals that he was targeted by Pandora, who is ordering the specters to assassinate him without Hades' consent, and Athena. Tenma decides to leave the sanctuary after Aldebaran's death and relocate to a nearby village. With great sadness, the trainees are weeping at the grave of Saint Aldebaran. Tenma arrives feeling insignificant and powerless to defend the sanctuary. He is haunted by guilt. The Cancer Saint then appears. He goes on a rant about how Aldebaran died because he was weak, and how Tenma is fleeing because he is also weak. He then kidnaps Tenma for his dissertation. Tenma does not even respond. He believes the Cancer Saint was correct. Tenma reflects in jail on a loan and how there may still be a chance to save his soul. He then begins punching and kicking the bars in an attempt to escape. However, his efforts are futile. Then by lifting one of the tiles, Yato appears in the cell. Yato escapes from jail by using an underground passage. They meet Yuzuriha, who has now become a Silver Saint, at the end of the passage. They successfully escape the sanctuary, and Tenma declares his desire to end Hades. Athena appears unexpectedly on the outskirts of the sanctuary to greet him, and she makes him promise that he will return safely from his journey with Alone by his side. And this is where the anime ends. Thanks for sticking with us until the end. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.